now, bringing you on, and we'll just keep this going. Hello.
Hello, Martin.
Decision goes.
My name is Becky Phares, and I live here in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I own a studio called the Body Initiative Pilates Studio. And that's what we have. And I have people that work with me, so they kind of own their own Pilates studio within my studio. I feel like it works really good for us that way. And I have a new massage therapist there. So it's a really cool new budding business that I'm excited about.
Amazing. How long has it been around for?
I've been teaching about 12 years, but I have had the studio, I've been on my own for about 3.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And what was the name again? Body Integration?
The Body Initiative. And I came up with that name because my hope is for people to take initiative of their own body. So you don't necessarily have to do something with somebody to have a workout, even though I'm there for that also. But I really want them to take initiative and do things on their own, whatever their body needs.
That's perfect, you know, and as we talk about that, that was one of those conversations we'd have in the personal training world all the time, that paradox between giving your person enough that they could do it on their own, but at the same time fearing that they're going to leave you if you give them everything.
Absolutely. And I mean, I even have clients that have bought their own equipment, and I have gone to their house and I've showed them how to set it up. I've showed them how to work it. I show them what sites that they can use, and they've never left me. And had they left me, I would say, awesome, whatever.
Yes. Right.
And, you know, along the lines, I own a gym, you know, but I never work out by myself because I don't enjoy that type of environment. I put myself in a lot of yoga classes because I like to do that. So even though, but my initiative is knowing that about myself and doing what I need to make that happen.
Yes, that's very cool. And I love that. Like the Body Initiative piece is like, especially during this quarantine too, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I've been able to celebrate the fact that my clients have taken initiative to do workouts on their own or to do stuff, you know, in between our virtual classes, or those who chose not to do virtually, waiting for the building to open up again, have been, you know, finding things, taking initiative, right? So
exactly. Yeah. And I've never worked out as much as I had during quarantine. Like it was a weird mix because I ate a lot, but then I worked out a lot.
Right.
I did like a live Instagram every day, but that was more for me to have something to do, like scheduled.
Yes.
And then I just did, and I was able to connect with so many people. Like the things that I have done online, the people that I've gotten to meet, the experiences I've had, just like talking to you. I mean, this is all virtual and it's amazing, right. But I'm for it. And yes, I want to go and do a conference in person, but I'm really embracing this right now. Like it's ridiculous the amount of things I'm doing online.
It's awesome. I have such a great opportunity. We're just embracing it and just running with it. There's Joel's comment there. I have to make appointments to work out, otherwise other things get in the way. I'm with you on this. Yeah, absolutely. It's in my schedule. Like it is scheduled. Like, you know, my next client, it's in my workout. My workout's in my schedule, right? Like it just has to be there.
Absolutely.
I've almost been doing this for a year, Becky. Like I just
really?
Yes, March 23rd will be 1 year I've been doing Core Conversations.
Well, I have to say, I've been waiting for my email from you. And when I got it, I fangirled a little bit. I was like, oh, I did it. Yes. So I'm happy for you. Like, I'm really excited that you are making this thing a big thing. And you are inviting everybody and everybody's embracing it. And I love that. Like, we are all here for each other.
Yes, absolutely. And that feels good. As much as you just said that little fangirling thing, that makes me feel so good because I've been doing this and I wasn't sure who would say yes and when people would say yes. You know, so I was excited when Joel came on. I was excited when these names that like I consider famous, that I heard, that I had followed, that I looked up to, you know what I mean? So for people to respond that way to me when I asked them to share, that's humbling for me because I'm thinking like, this is us just sharing. Like, this is just us doing us.
Exactly.
Right?
But look how much of a difference you've made on these little hour things. It's really helped people come together in a way that you probably never thought of.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah. I'm actually, yeah, my wife is on it, the anniversary party. Um, there's some people that the week of March 21st, I'm trying to line it up with people that I had on last year at that time.
Yeah.
One of the guys is a DJ starting from scratch, and he does a lot of live classes now, or live like DJing on, on Twitch, but he has on
Yeah.
Instagram as well. So he's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday nights, and does like old school and does all these different things. When he came on, he was probably the biggest person that I could have had on the show at the time. So in Toronto, he's the DJ for Russell Peters when he goes on tour, right? So he just does this thing. But when he came on at that point, he talked about mental health and mental illness,
Hmm.
and shared about his anxieties, and shared about the fact that as much as he was famous for doing these big parties in Toronto and all over the world, it was an anxiety inducing event for him. And then, alcoholism came into it and all these different things. So there's a sense of being relieved that the world shut down. So you got a chance to pause and reevaluate. And then now, if you see him every Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and he has guests on the show, he is thriving. He has so many
Yeah.
subscribers and followers and stuff. And it's just amazing how people pivot during this time. And we have this opportunity to really evaluate who we are, who we want to be, and where we want to go, right? So
Hmm.
that was such a long intro to just simply ask you, how did you pivot during this time?
Well, I'll be honest with you, pivoting during, I pushed a lot. When we only had 4 weeks of mandatory closure.
Lockdown. Okay.
So what happened was, it was no big deal. I've never been a stay-at-home mom, and I have 3 girls, and I took this opportunity to say, I'm going to be with you. I've never had
Yes.
this opportunity. Let's
Mm.
do it. And we did well, it's called virtual school, but basically I taught my kids how to do their school.
Right.
And then after those 4 weeks, they had like another 4 weeks of like, I was kind of like open part-time, but I was still doing the homework and all of that.
Yes.
And that was, I mean, I kind of broke down on that one because I was
Mm.
doing everything, but not
Yes.
anything good.
Right. Yes. Know the feeling. Go on.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
like I cry all the time. I'm a crier, but I don't, I've never cried because I have too much on my plate, because I'm a person that thrives on a lot of stuff. I'm much more able to handle things when I have a schedule, but
Yes.
it was too much. And, then I started seeing my friends close studio downs, and I was so sad for them. I was so
Mm.
sad that, that happened, because it wasn't their choice. And a lot of people also use I have a friend that closed her studio down, and she didn't close down because of um, the virus, but it was like, this was a good stopping point for her. So she was like, I'm
Yes.
just not going to continue to open.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
well, that worked for you.
Hmm.
So then I see people doing all of these virtual things, and I'll be honest with you, I only had like 10 over all the whole 8 weeks of closure, 10
Yes.
people that wanted virtual sessions. So I was like, I don't think that is my way to go,
Right. Right.
because I just don't have the people that are interested in it. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm fully open right now. I don't know how y'all are, but I mean, we are 100% at my normal business hours plus more,
Yes.
because a lot of people don't want to come to like big gyms. So they'll say, well,
Yes.
I'm going to come an extra day here, because they
Right.
feel a little bit more comfortable. And then now I have 2 teachers that are teaching with me. But the pivot happens with kind of the way I look at virtual stuff. So even though I'm not teaching on a virtual platform, I am doing a lot more virtual things. Like I'm mentoring for Polestar, which just means I'm in line to try to get to become an educator. And
Yes.
I've been doing that through, like, I think I'm doing 5 right now.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because had I not done it during this time, I'd have had to maybe fly to this place,
Right.
leave my
Take
family,
advantage
leave
of
my
it. Yes.
business.
Right.
But dude, I'm doing it all in this room right here, where
Hmm.
I am able to, one of the educators is from Costa Rica, and I'm helping her teach, this math session that I would never, be able to be with
Right.
her on a
Beautiful.
normal basis, so it's a
Yes.
pivot of education for me at the moment.
Great. Yeah. That's awesome. That's such a, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. It just expands our learning base, right? Because it doesn't
Yeah.
require us to leave our kids and family, all those different things. Everything is at our fingertips.
Yeah. What's your pivot? Like, how did you pivot? I mean, I know core conversations, but
Yeah, that I think really, I did a podcast on it that just came out today, and I was talking about it. That really is the biggest pivot, is to say, instead of being another face teaching classes, how can I amplify the voices that are teaching classes? How can I point people to the people that are doing classes and just highlight that? So I don't know, like I feel like we've been talking a lot about just with our businesses, like you want to, I don't want to be cutthroat, but you want to survive. You want to do things and show grit and all these different things. But to take the time to amplify other voices and to work collaboratively with others, with the chiros that are in this building and the athletic therapists and stuff, I'm just trying to level everybody up instead of just do my own thing and, you know, good luck on your own sort of thing. So I don't know. I think that my pivot during this time was to say, okay, well, how can I just use this to help other people as well as to help me, right? So I don't know.
agreed. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It sounds pretty altruistic, but I don't know. It's just the way I think. It is.
Yeah, and I love how you bring, you know, and you understand that in the Pilates world, you can have other people that influence you. Like you're
Yes.
naming all the people that you're working with. But like I have, I wouldn't say a mentor, but this one of my clients, she owns a business and she's a very successful female business entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I was like, hey, can we chat? Can you tell me? Can we go for coffee one day and you kind of be like my business buddy
Coach
and tell
buddy.
me, coach, yeah, whatever. And she was like, yeah. So we had coffee one day and she was just telling me. So even things that I didn't even think about, like, you know, your reformer isn't making money from these hours because, you know, I only teach from 8 to 3. I basically teach for when my kids are in school. And
Yes.
then, you know, I pick them up and then my harder job becomes the parent.
Right. Yes.
But I was like, I've never thought about that. And, you know, as a business owner, we're striving to just become more successful in our business. And she was just telling me all these things. And then
Hmm.
I also have my husband, which is a banker. And he gives me all of these things. But I'll be honest with you, I can't have that conversation with him. So when we first opened, he made me go and have a meeting with his best friend who owns an oil field company. And he gave me financial advice just because
Yes.
we can't, you know, we live together, but we can't also work together.
Right. It works for some people.
Yeah, I know
But
so
yeah.
many people that do it, but that's too much. That's too much
Right.
for us.
So the question hypothetically is, if he was starting a business, could he work with you? Let's. Do you want to think about that answer a bit longer?
No,
Like,
I'm good.
yeah.
I'm good. Like we are so different because I was like to him, like he's very like me. We're both life of the party people. We fight for the spotlight. But when he comes home, he is like a stressor. And I'm like, Bo, why are you stressing so much? And he's like, why are you not stressing enough? I'm like, you do it enough for both of us.
Right.
But he worries. I mean, and I think it's why we're successful at the age we are. I mean, he's 40, I'm 39. And you know, we are successful adults. You know,
Hmm.
we're not worrying about where our next paycheck is coming from, specifically because of what he has made us do as a family. Like he is
Yes.
really smart about our money
Hmm.
and he's just good. And so like if it would be just me, I don't know if I'd even have been able to purchase a reformer at any point because I
Right.
just don't look at that. That's just not where my brain goes, and his
Right.
does. So I'm very grateful that we can balance each other that way.
Yes. Yes. So when we have this conversation about not taking things too seriously, you have to preface that by saying you have someone in your world who is taking it seriously.
Yeah, and I think we could be successful either way, but he measures success very differently than I do. You know,
Yes.
so and I think we fight about that a lot. What does it mean to be successful? And so
Yes. That was my
my
next question. Go on. Yes.
so I only range success. Are we happy? You know, we
Okay.
have an amazing house,
Hmm.
but I would be happy not in this amazing house. But I don't think he would.
Hmm.
So how can we come together to make that work for both of us?
Right.
You know, and I don't know. he's never happy where he is, which means he's always looking for the next thing. And I'm very happy where I am always. It doesn't take much, you know?
Yes.
I don't know. How are you about that?
Well, yeah, I measure success differently as well. Like, I mean, I don't measure it based on the amount of money that I make as much as the amount of influence that I can have on people or the impact I can have with the stuff that I do, right? So that's always my gauge. And, you know, I'll apply for a job because of the scope of influence, or I won't apply for a job, or I'll leave a job because I feel like I'm not being heard anymore, sort of thing. So that's been my experience with big box gyms, or, you know, some data entry job I had when I was 18. I was making lots of money and hated my life, sort of thing. Is like, this is not my calling.
Right.
So that sort of thing, right? So yeah, we all measure it differently. And I've been really just chewing on the fact that as we define success, define making impact or being great or all these different things, we can do it together, and it's not mutually exclusive. So my success doesn't have to come at the expense of your success.
Agreed. I love
Right.
that.
So it doesn't really matter what my success is, as long as I could chase after my success and make sure that you achieve success too, or not make it based on the fact that my expense has to come at your expense. Right. So if I'm running a class and you advertise a class, I will still advertise the fact that you're running a class, because it'll come back. I don't know. So like whatever my definition of success is, it doesn't really matter. As long as we're all moving towards success, let's do it, right?
Let's raise each other up.
Let's level everyone up, right?
And I think that's exactly what core conversations do, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, and then another thing, like success with the online world.
Yes.
I think a natural path for most people would be to do online platforms. And I think that you're doing it in a very different way. And I'm not sure if your goal would ever to be doing that, which would be awesome. But there's so many out there. Like, what else would I be offering? That's how I think. So I think that's why I'm not saying that it won't ever happen one day, an online platform, but I just don't feel like it's necessary at the moment.
Right.
Because that would, I think, stress me out, because it's not where I am. And so that's why I talk about just having fun and having these movement experiences that are enjoyable. And I'm trying to be funny right now because I like it, because it's enjoyable and my kids love it. My kids think I'm so cool because I can still do a split. So I will never not be able to not do a split. And their joy of me doing that that's success, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know, and so that's why I'm trying to make people understand that it doesn't have to be so serious.
Yes.
We don't have to find neutral spine all the time, because that's just a made up term. You know, I mean, I guess someone did make it up one day, but it doesn't mean that I can't make someone find it in class because they need it at this particular moment in time.
Yes.
But if they don't enjoy coming to me, then why would they keep coming? And then some people would say it's because you make them feel better, but can we not have fun while I make you feel better at the same time?
Right. Right.
And that's my personality. Yes. And, you know, when I go to conferences, when we still could go to conferences, I'm such a, I'm a people person to a fault. One time we were at Momentum Fest 2 years ago, and I had a roommate because I wanted to room with somebody, because the person that I was rooming with couldn't anymore. So I found someone.
A random for roommate.
Yes, and I introduced myself to her online. I was like, because
so it's a semi-stranger now.
Exactly.
Right.
And so she had a dinner date with a friend. So I was not going to stay in my hotel room by myself. Believe me, I went and stalked the elevator at the bottom floor, and I literally waited till someone passed and asked if I can go have dinner with them.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious. And so then I met a whole bunch of new friends.
There you go.
And it's fun. I mean, I know not everyone's like that, and no one has to be, but he said neutral spine. But like, I just enjoy people. I really do. And I love it. Are you like
Geez.
that, or do you like to be in your hotel room by yourself sometimes?
I to be sensitive to the fact that people like are sometimes intimidated by a bald head guy with a goatee. I can't exactly walk up to people and be like, "Hey, where are you going for dinner?" Let's doesn't work for me the same that it might work for you.
I guess. But I
Yeah.
mean, if you would be a bald-headed goatee person and ask me to have dinner with you, I would totally do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh for sure. I mean, I have to look out for someone who's like, yeah, yeah. So I don't know, but that's it. Just I love that though, because I mean, I'm same way. I can be a people person, but I'm on that cusp, right? Like that Myers-Briggs thing. Like I've done that so many times, and it scored me like 18 introvert and 17 extrovert.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I'm with people, I want to be alone, and when I'm alone, I want to be with people.
And that's okay. That's you, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I just think it's so funny how people are so different about that. Like I was literally stalking people. I was like, this is probably not healthy.
But fun.
But fun,
But
exactly.
fun. Where did you do your Pilates training originally? Like, what was your first experience with Pilates?
Okay, so this is a funny story. I used to host a television show. It
Oh,
was like
really?
so,
Okay.
yeah, it was so local. And I did it for 2 years and it was super fun. And we interviewed this girl at a gym that taught Pilates. And I was like, oh, well, this is cool. So she made me do lunges on the chair. And I was like, I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Mhm.
And so, like, years later, I lost that job because they couldn't pay me anymore. So I was literally out of work. And so I went to a ballet class and there was this girl there. And I was like, oh, what are you doing now? She's like, I own a Pilates studio. I was like, I'd love to teach Pilates with you. And she was like, sure. So like I go in for an interview and I have like a button down with high heels, like walking into a Pilates studio. How silly is that now? And I
Right.
had my resume. And so like I was just with her for like 4 months just watching class. And then I did Physical Mind Institute, like through my first comprehensive. And 4 years ago, I transitioned to Polestar,
Okay.
which was an amazing experience for me. And so that's where I'm at now, mentoring for them.
Hmm.
And but it's just so funny. It's like the more I learn, the more I realize that pretty much anything is okay,
Yes.
if that makes sense. I know there's so many
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
issues about that, but like, can we not just do some Pilates?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I've said, I understand, having a classical background, I respect the order and love the order. And when I layer in my personal training background, when I was training trainers, I'd always say, if you can explain what you are doing, have at it. Right? If your answer is, well, I saw this on YouTube, so let's try it, no go. But if you
Right.
could say, this is what's happening, this is what you need, this is why I thought of this, then run with it, right? Like,
Right.
so that kind of comes into the Pilates world too, when we understand how the system works and where to find it in the system and stuff. Yeah, we can have that freedom with it for sure.
Hmm. And like, do you think that you're like, whenever you were in the, or I think you're still in the world of personal training as
Mhm.
in a Pilates teacher, do you think one student was more successful at either one of them, or do you feel like you could help them through any way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Through any, and that's the whole point. Is that we want to put in a silo, but the reality is that Pilates is part of the larger fitness community
Right.
and fitness dialogue. You see, look at Joel's space, right? Like he has everything from TRXs to the reformers to like kettlebells and all this stuff because it's all movement.
Right. Movement. It's movement.
Hmm. Hmm.
Your body doesn't know what it's doing. It's just happy to be moving.
At a cellular level, you're 100% right.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so true. I love
But I
that.
just think that I'm so lucky to, and the reason I do Pilates is because I definitely sit with it the best. You know,
Yes.
I do
Yeah.
sit with it the best, and I do think it's amazing. But listen, I love to do yoga. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I
Hmm.
love, I was doing Bulgarian bags
Yeah.
with
Yes.
friends and kettlebells, and I knew nothing about it. But I love doing it more. And I didn't sit with it as well as anything else, but I did it because it was with friends.
Yes.
And I enjoyed my friends doing it. And so I was enjoying the company and the workout that I was getting. But I will never badmouth anybody that does any kind of movement, whether it's, you know, CrossFit or,
Yes.
you know, I think as long as you can do it and you're having a good movement experience, then you're doing a good job for yourself.
Absolutely. And I think like I like what you said about it sitting with you in those different ways. The hook for me with Pilates is the fact that it just makes you better at everything else.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I used to cringe when people would say Pilates is my sport. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's good. I like Pilates a lot too, but I think that Pilates was designed to make you better
At the sport, yeah.
something else, at
Yeah.
the sport. So if your sport is running, it should help you with that. If it's so that's the hook when I'm talking to athletes about it, to men who do like guys on the weight floor who are just pounding weights. Come try Pilates, it'll make you better at lifting weights. Like
Mm-hmm.
so that's the thing. So Pilates is awesome, but I always kind of frame it in it's gonna make you better at the other stuff that you really like to do.
Agreed. Agreed. And the coolest, like this was like years ago, I was training a bodybuilder and he couldn't do a roll up. And like, this was like, you know, I was a baby Pilates teacher and I couldn't understand why. I'm like, you are so strong. How can you not roll up?
Right.
You know? And so the more I dissect, and that's what I'm saying, like I feel like education is key because I know how
Yes.
now,
Mhm.
because his, you know, lower back just wouldn't move. And so
Mhm.
he couldn't, the force of gravity was just too large for his big frame to come up to a seated position.
Right.
And so it's just, can we develop more spinal articulation for him through Pilates so he can probably maybe potentially lift more weight successfully in the weight room? So
Yeah, right.
agreed.
Exactly. Strong in your weakest links, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And it's almost like the analogy, like your husband being a banker, right? Like if you work really hard in the beginning and learn these fundamentals and just really grind, you get to a place where you're making money with ease. Obviously, you want to make more, but like you have residual income, you have this, and money's coming in, and you're not working so hard once you understand the system of making money. And I think that our Pilates is the same way. Like if we take our time on the front end, understanding systems, understanding exercises and how muscles are firing and stuff, it becomes easy for us to demonstrate. You could look at that bodybuilder and be like, oh, we need to do this now, instead of being like, wow, why can't you're strong? Why can't I?
Yeah.
Right? So like when we invest in our education, it makes everything else make sense right down the road. So
And I don't know if you're like me, but I am a literal, I mean, I'm sure everyone is at this point. They understand the value of education, but I never stop learning. I've been taking the same course, the same mat course for about 6 times now. And every time I take it, I learn something new. And
yes.
so again, like you said, the ease of the education will make the ease of the job easier, or whatever you're
Yes.
trying to make happen.
Right. Absolutely. Now within your studio, who would you say, we talked about bodybuilders and we talked about just people coming in and all these different things. Who is like your ideal client? Like who do you get most excited working with?
Okay, I'm so happy that you asked that question because I was listening to another core conversation that you had, and I was texting exactly who my ideal client was. And whenever it came in, it was just not worded the best. I was like, no. But when I first started, my ideal client was dancers. I wanted to work with it because I was a dancer, and I was like, oh my gosh, this Pilates thing will help
Yes.
everything.
You speak the language already, right? So
Exactly. I speak the language, so I know what they need and I know how I can help.
yes.
Now, we don't have a big professional dance community where we are. It's more, if they're dancers, they're going to be under the age of 18, which means they're in school. So I already told you that the only time I work is from 8 to 3. The only time I would be able to take my ideal clients would be during the summer.
Right.
But then I can't, because my workload is already filled up. So I can fit your dancer in like once a month during the summer.
Right.
So I had to pivot
Yes.
on who my ideal client was. And so now my ideal client, they have to be within my schedule. I can only take you if you're willing to come between the hours of 8 to 3, you know?
Right.
And so then from there, it opened my horizons of the types of bodies I learned from.
Mm-hmm.
So when they walked in, if they had something, I was kind of nervous to work with them. Like, let's say they had scoliosis. I was like,
Yes.
I'm not sure. If they had a low back pain, I'm not sure. But the onslaught of the people that were coming in were those people.
Right.
So I learned from those people. So, because you're not going to learn from someone that you're already good with, right?
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I had to get out of my comfort zone and really understand that I will learn and get better at the people that I'm scared of taking. Now, I always put it in with a, we're going to be safe here and you're going to let me know. And then I research whatever that they have.
Right.
And now I feel very comfortable with taking almost anybody. There's not someone at the moment that I've been like, I'm sorry. But
Right.
that's because I've developed this thing over 12 years.
Right.
So my ideal client is someone that can come in my hours and someone that is willing to be open with me and respect me, and I respect them. And besides that, that's pretty much my only my only requirement for an ideal client is mutual respect.
Yes.
And time.
Mutual respect and time.
Yeah.
And well, one of the things that you mentioned in there too is you're speaking to your own confidence there as a teacher, to explore movement and to give them express them that you're not a professional here in the sense of this specific ailment, condition, whatever the case is. So we're going to figure this journey out together safely. And I think that when we can find our words around that, that gives us the comfort to do that more and more, because we know that we can get over the fear of them saying, well, I'm paying for professionals, so bye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they trust us. We built enough trust, and that vulnerability to say, I don't know this and we can learn this together is powerful. That opens the door to learn whatever you want to learn.
Absolutely.
So that's, I mean, that I've been musing on that a lot, because the more we can do that, the more we're open to learning, and the less we feel like we're an imposter, the less we feel like we're incompetent in those situations.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, you hear the imposter syndrome a lot. That's been talked about a lot over like blogs and just any kind of thing. And, I just think it's, if you understand that you're in a journey of learning, even if you're not 100% okay with it, and there's mutual discussion, like you can't say, oh, I know this, and use all of these terms that nobody's going to understand just so you look smarter.
Right.
Because I used to work with a girl like that. She would, just have a lot of like anatomy, and I was like,
Fancy
I knew
words.
the anatomy, but I had to like conjugate it in my brain before anything happened. I was like, that's why I'm so big on imagery, because imagery, you don't need to know body mechanics. You can say, well, I can take the shape of this thing that you're telling me. So that's another thing that I think helps in the Pilates realm, is being able to talk to your clients and they understand what you say.
Right. Absolutely. Communication on so many levels. And the other piece to that is knowing when to refer as well, right? And
absolutely.
I think that there's so much power in knowing when to refer. And much like at the beginning of our conversation, we're talking about initiative. If we give our clients all the tools to do their work on their own, they never leave us. And if we refer out to someone who knows what we're doing better than we do, they still won't leave us. They'll go to them and they'll keep coming back anyways. Like, when you're doing your job right, like, you can't get rid of your people.
Right, exactly. They'll stalk you, just like I stalk other people.
And ask to go to dinner with them.
Yes, absolutely. I see Brooke Tyler on, and I feel like I want to do a handstand just because she's on now.
Yes, likewise. She's the best. Oh, you're actually going to do it? Okay, go.
I'm on like a chair, but normally.
Right, exactly. For the podcast later, Becky just went into a handstand.
We'll insert picture there. And also, Sunny, from Going More Joe, she's the first person I've ever had an experience with classical Pilates. And so she was very gracious and loving when I was in Las Vegas for a dance convention with my kids. And I just stalked her you know, it's like, can I come to your house and take a Pilates class? And she said yes.
Right. Wow. Yes. You live the life. I can't do that either. Hi. Can I come to your house? Do some Pilates? No? Okay, thank you. Bye. Yes. Too funny. She's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to announce at some point, I had an idea based on my conversation with Sunny the other day, where we're like, and I'm going to repost it, where we're talking about how we make Pilates accessible. And not just how do we make it accessible, how do we make it accessible and still ensure that our teachers are getting paid for teaching it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah. So
saying? Like,
what did y'all decide? Did y'all come up with an answer?
well, I said it just so casually, but now I think I want to unpack it a bit more because, like, if it's like almost like a Pilates, like pay it forward, but like for Pilates, or like a +1 if you're going to a wedding and you say like, I'm going to bring this person with me. Let's say, for example, you're doing a workshop, right? And the workshop costs $20 for everyone to join. I'm going to pay for my registration, and then I'm also going to pay for a second registration and tell you that you can just give it to anyone you like
Yeah.
at your discretion. So it's not like give it to a poor needy person. You can say give it to some guy who doesn't believe in Pilates. Just give it to him so that he can try Pilates, and because he doesn't see the value, he's not going to pay, but because he's going for free, he might actually learn something.
Yeah.
And now you have a client out of it. So it's not
Yeah.
just like a a handout to somebody. You can just use it in whatever way is going to bring your business forward,
I love that.
accessibility, or whatever it is. So that sense of, I want to just find some words around it. I want to unpack that properly, but get us into the habit of, I have the money to pay for this registration. I'm actually going to pay for a second one too, so you can give it to somebody as a pay it forward in Pilates, a move it forward or something. So
I love that.
yeah, so I'm working on it. I've been chewing on it over the weekend, and I want to roll that out properly and
Hmm.
just get us all thinking that way and talking that way.
Yeah. And I think, gosh, I mean, there's so many things that have happened now that you said that, like my brain's doing some webbing. But like, how do you get people on board? And I like how you said it's basically maybe even someone that just doesn't believe in Pilates. I have a funny story.
Yay, story time.
So the building, my husband and I bought the building that the Pilates studio is in, and
Smart.
it was a building called Fast Signs. So it was basically a place that does business cards, wrapping. So we have like these big garage doors where
Yes.
the cars would come in and they would wrap your car and we
Hmm.
sell whatever. So once a month, someone walks into my building asking me to make them business cards.
Right.
And I'm like, I mean, clearly, you know, they just are blindly walking in. They don't, I
Yes.
mean, clearly it is not Fast Signs anymore. So there is this guy. He walks in and he's like, I need you to make me some business cards. I was like, sir, this is no longer a Pilates studio. I mean, no longer a sign making place. This is a Pilates studio. And he's like, in front of all my clients, mind you, he's like, Pilates? I don't like Pilates. Yoga is better. And he slammed the door and ran out. So
Wow.
if you can make that guy want to take a Pilates class, he might
Right.
not be your best like person that you're looking for, but
That's totally my ideal client, but go
yeah.
on.
But I just think that it's so strange how people have such a mindset of what we do when they've never
Yes.
even experienced it.
Right.
And I think that what you're saying is that you can give someone an opportunity to experience, and because it holds monetary value, they feel like they're getting something.
Right.
Like if we would do what we do for free, nobody would come to us. I can
Right.
guarantee you that.
Yes.
My sister used to come and like I wouldn't charge her, and
Mhm.
she really made me mad because she would not,
Yes.
you know.
Right.
So I don't give anybody free Pilates anymore. Not
Right.
because I necessarily need that client's money, but because I need to hold them accountable for their slot.
Absolutely. My
And
my friend, so finish the thought, but that just reminds me of
no,
something.
I'm just saying, like, it's like whenever, like, you saying that you're going to pay for them, it will get them, like, I am literally going to get this, this thing that holds monetary value. And thank you so much for
Yes.
allowing me to join you because it
Right.
holds that value.
Yes, exactly. My counseling friend used to say, I'm a lot smarter at $80 an hour than free.
Say that
right?
one more time.
I'm a lot smarter at $80 an hour than I am for free,
Boom.
right?
Hashtag that.
Yes. Because that happens. People take it for granted. It's free. And your sister, yeah, good. Brooke's
I
like, yes,
love her. I love her. But
my sister pays now.
she pays now.
Yep, it's true. But yeah, so I think that's the piece though. So in thinking about what this looks like and what this whole kind of initiative is, I want to make sure that one, the teacher is getting paid. So if you're giving someone a spot, I'm not just like, I want to make sure that the program is successful
Mm-hmm.
and it's accessible and that
Yeah.
is accessible, right?
Yeah.
So in if we can move it away from just the performative, here's a scholarship for you poor person who can't afford it, to actually let me show you the value of what you're getting if you don't understand the value yet, and have that conversation as well. I think that might actually work, maybe. Who knows?
I agree. Like it is such a good way of introducing our world to somebody, but everyone is going to be happy about it.
Yes.
I love that, Martin.
Yep. Stay tuned.
I shall.
Yes, I shall. Um, do we talk about creating goals, setting goals? I think we were talking about that earlier offline.
No, I don't think we've talked about goals.
Mm. What were we saying about like goals and having fun and just the whole relationship there with our clients? I think that's what we were talking about earlier.
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay, now I remember which I'm out. So I think some people, they come into, regardless if it's Pilates or any kind of workout regimen, they have a goal, right?
Yes.
So let's say their goal is to fit inside a pair of pants, which
Mm-hmm.
we can't discount because that might be their real goal, you
And
know,
that's important to them.
and that's
Right.
important to them. Or if their goal is low back pain, to diminish it. Sometimes, like, I will get a client feeling really good, but it's not completely diminished. But
Mm-hmm.
can we not have fun and enjoy the process and make them feel good enough to where they can go out through their day? Or even if their
Yes.
pant size is not where they want, can they still not, maybe they just feel better in the
Mm-hmm.
pant size that they're already in,
Yes.
you know? So we can enjoy
Absolutely.
the journey about that.
Yes.
And, you know, it's such a cliche to say, but you need to enjoy the journey. Like let's say we're driving to Disney World. Yes, our end goal is to have fun with the mouse, but
Mhm.
why can't we play games on the way there and not
Yes.
just,
That's a
you know,
great analogy. Well, and that reminds me too, like when we did a Disneyland trip 2 years ago and drove to Florida from Toronto, and it took us days. And what we did to make that journey fun is that we did a barbecue crawl to the south. So we Googled
yes,
every spot that had like barbecue, and I did pulled pork taste challenge all through the south. My stepdaughter did that with ribs and like, you know what I mean? Like, so we had fun on the journey. And to this day, the kids like, one of the best parts of the whole trip was the drive down, barbecuing in
yes.
South Carolina, then Atlanta, then Tennessee, and then we just hit all those spots. And our fitness people are the same, right? Our clients are the same. When I think about my clients who have like a back injury, and then they're like, I felt better for 2 days and then it came back. I'm like, that's 2 days you were pain free. How do
Yes.
we make that 3?
Let's celebrate it.
Let's celebrate the 2 days that you're pain free, right? Like, yeah, so it's good stuff.
Yes, I love that. And now I'm going to think about barbecue every time I think about goals.
There you go. Whatever works.
Oh gosh, I love it. You need to, speaking of food, have you tried Cajun food?
Yes, we were in New Orleans 2 years ago, and I did a po' boy crawl.
Yes. Yes, fried shrimp, right?
Yep. And who was on last? Was it 2 weeks ago? Someone from New Orleans was on. The name escapes me now. I think it was Julie, Community Pilates, and Julie. And we're talking about it. And then it's a funny story. Like in our chat beforehand, she was saying that she makes a mean po' boy. And I was like, that is a pickup line.
That should just be on the back of your shirt.
Right? Yes. Yeah, so like that's a pickup line. I'm married. Sorry, not interested. So yeah, so we joked about that, Alex and I, afterwards. But yes,
Yeah.
I love Cajun food. I'm all over
Awesome.
it. Yeah, it's
And
so
the
fun.
funny thing is that I don't cook. My husband cooks. My husband's parents owned a seafood restaurant for about 20 years. And
What?
so I'm really good at cleaning the stuff that he cooks. But
Oh, yes.
he is lit, like, he just made a gumbo last night. He just decided, so he took all the stuff in the fridge and he did it. And he gets invited to places because he's really good at cooking.
Yes.
And like, I've never made a rice and gravy before, which is basically what we eat every day here. Like, it's a staple. Like, that's how you do it.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
people are amazed that they were like, well, what do you feed your kids?
Yeah.
We figure it out.
We figured
I
it
mean,
out.
I'm really good at sandwiches, you know.
Nice. Emmett's asking, how do you just taste each place or do you eat full meals? Yeah, we would eat full meals, but I'd order the same thing on the menu at every restaurant. So, for example,
You
I
can
was doing
compare.
pulled pork, so we could compare, when we're in South Carolina and then we went to Tennessee and then they have like a mustard-based barbecue sauce in South Carolina, then, that sort of thing. So just order the exact same menu item in every place and have a full meal and see how they do it. And that was how
I
we
was
compared.
hoping you probably, now that you're in Disney World, you probably had to do like your stretchy pants, not your jeans, because that probably
Yes.
wasn't too helpful.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Too funny. Becky, we're at 59. We've just spoken for like the full hour. That was
Yeah, I
awesome.
love it.
Yes.
So easy to talk to you.
I likewise. That was very fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just don't even know where to go. I feel like we could talk for another half an hour easily.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
And a smarty girl, so we we
Yes,
we bring out the crazy.
right. And it's Pancake Tuesday, right?
Well, I never heard that, but is it like
Shrove Tuesday?
say that again?
It's Shrove Tuesday.
Oh,
Yeah, so it lands on the same day. So,
it's
um,
always a holiday. You can always find a day,
yeah,
something that's holiday.
yes, exactly. So we talked food, we talked Pilates, we talked fun, and it was a good time had by all.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining us this morning.
It was so fun. I love seeing all my friends on the chat. Thank y'all so much for showing up.
Really good. Okay, I'm gonna sign you off. I'll send you the replay later. Thank you so much,
All right.
Becky.
Thanks, Martin. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. We have Erin Jones Pilates. Erin Jones is joining us tomorrow, so looking forward to her.